Hello, everybody. Welcome to our weekly live program. I'm Timothy Noah, your guest host, and we have quite a program in store for you today. Our guest here, as you can see, is Ken Foster, and we have a wonderful, before I introduce Ken to you formally, I'd just like to share a bit of the trajectory of our program today. We have a beautiful clip that Ken and Steve were part of recording actually during the summit, during our Global Oneness Summit. And it's with Marla Maples. And so we will feature this shortly. It's a half-hour segment, and then we'll come back to talk about it. But let me first introduce Ken to you, and he could speak a bit more about this clip, again, which he was part of recording. So Ken D. Foster is a keynote speaker, best-selling author, business strategist, and news personality who owns a broadcast and media production company. He's the executive producer and host of the Voices of Courage show, syndicated on TV, podcast, plus radio, and broadcast in 185 countries. He specializes in working with people who are committed to leveling up their lives, maximizing their highest potential, and contributing to making the world a better place. Ken is a change maker who pushes the envelope and challenges audiences to think differently, to see the unseeable, know the unknowable, and do the impossible. And of course, Ken was one of our lead hosts for the Global Oneness Summit. He opened up each day with a live program, and he was also the co-producer of the summit. So welcome, Ken, to the show here today.
Well, thank you so much, Timothy. I appreciate the introduction. Appreciate being here today. You know, the video that we're going to show today that I recorded with Steve Farrell, and for those of you that don't know Steve, Steve is the worldwide executive producer, not producer, the director, worldwide director of the humanities team in the Global Oneness Summit. So Steve and I interviewed Marla Maples. Now, who's Marla Maples? Some of you are going, who's that? I've heard that name. Well, Marla Maples was married to Donald Trump, and they had one child together. Her name is Tiffany. And when we interviewed Marla, by the way, Marla is a very conscious being who has gone through a lot of transformations in her own life, as you can imagine. And so she shares this amazing wisdom that she's developed over many years. And she's broadcasting live from Mar-a-Lago, right? From Donald Trump, our president, former president's home. So she's there in Mar-a-Lago. And she talks a little bit about that. And she talks about a lot about consciousness, a lot about oneness and where we're going. And it's very interesting. So she's there because their daughter Tiffany is going to be married in 2 weeks. So she's taken her time out to do this recording with Steve and I in the middle of this whole wedding planning. And, you know, she's got people out there that are helping her with her hair and her makeup and the wedding, and things are going around her. And yet she's completely present with us. So I'm excited to share the video with all of you. And I believe that you'll walk away like I did, inspired, uplifted, and maybe know a lot more about Marla Maples and what she's about. So, all right, let's go ahead and roll the video, and we'll come back after that. We'll talk a little bit about it, and we also have some other things to share with us, with all of you when we get back.
Hey, and good day, everybody. We are here with, actually, I've got a Global Oneness Summit host here with me, Ken Foster, and we got a very special guest with you here, Marla Maples. I'm Steve Farrell, a co-founder of Humanities Team, and again, a very special segment here for the 2022 Global Oneness Summit that's all about birthing a new world. I'm coming to you live from Boulder, Colorado at our studio here. Ken, you're in San Diego?
I'm in San Diego today. Mm-hmm.
And Marla, I think, is at Mar-a-Lago down in Florida.
I'm in Palm Beach getting ready for my daughter's wedding. Absolutely. So we're bringing the world together already. We're hitting all the corners.
So are we lucky ones or what? You've got your daughter's wedding coming up, and Marla's making time to come on to the Global Oneness Summit. So thank you. Thank you for joining us. Let me give them an introduction Ken, as you know, is a host of the Global Oneness Summit. He's a best-selling author. He's a business and life coach, keynote speaker, host of the Voices of Courage radio program that's syndicated in 185 countries. And then Marla Maple, she's a TV personality, an actress, TV and radio host, a keynote speaker, TEDx personality, author, and the creator of a new album called The Endless. Do I have that right, Marla?
Yes, it can be new again every day. I did it a few years ago, and I hope to be able to do another one upcoming after the wedding. It was just a way to bring together different thought leaders from all over the world, like Deepak Chopra, Michael Beckwith, Michael Berg of the Kabbalah Center, Native American Sufis, together to spread a message of awakening and love with a great kind of chill out beat to it. So I really had a lot of fun making that. That was a total God thing, not planned. It just started flowing. And I love when the universe blesses us that way.
No kidding. Yeah, we call Humanities Team the God job because we have these blessings kind of things happening all the time. So Marla's actually a returning personality to the Global Oneness Summit. You might remember about 10 years ago, she was on a panel with Kenny Loggins during the Global Oneness Summit. So really appreciate her making time to come back on. And then Ken Foster, as I mentioned, is involved in so many things out in the world. He's doing the live programs here during the summit each day. So I'm blessed to be here with both of you. We're going to just jump right in here. I'll start with some questions and then Ken will come in. So Marla, of course, this is the Global Oneness Summit, our theme, Birthing a New World. And we loved bringing you into this program because if you're a friend, Marla, on social media, you'll see she's talking about these themes of oneness and love's expression and bringing people together and unity and all of these things all the time. So what heart language, might you share here, Marla, relating to this year's summit?
Oh, I tell you, I can't help myself and wanting to share with people because, whenever you're suffering within yourself, the greatest gift that you can receive is helping another person. And this is what I found with the social media. It's a way to express what you're feeling on the inside in a way that hopefully can be interpreted to help lift another person in a moment in time. And with a global summit like this, probably in a time like we've never lived through in our lifetime before, it's more important to really see the heart lines of where we come together versus ever anything that would divide us. Because when we visualize that beautiful pink light connecting all of us together, and we hold that in our heart space, we can do anything and we can raise our vibration where as a whole, we're helping lift this earth. So I'm grateful just to be with you in this moment and reminded of what we all know in our busy lives is how the importance of us merging our hearts together and being as one so we can rise together.
Oh boy, beautiful. Yeah, raising our vibration, opening our hearts, bringing our hearts together, raising our hearts up together. So right on target. Beautiful. Thank you. And let me just go then to a related theme. You may know Humanities Team, together with Neil Donald Walsh, the Conversations with God Foundation, and actually our faculty from all over the world, announced an initiative back in the summer called Changing Humanity's Future. And through conscious community and through transformational education. And we shared that we want to, in 18 years from now, by 2040, we want to make conscious living pervasive worldwide. That's a pretty big lift in 18 years. But there's this wave coming in. You're actually down, you're both on the ocean, so maybe good metaphor here today.
Right.
There's this wave coming in that is conscious living, isn't it? I mean, the media is not necessarily covering it, but there's this more and more of opening our hearts, raising our vibration, becoming love's expression. Is it not true?
You want to speak on that, Ken?
Yeah, please, Marla.
Okay. Yes, it is true. I mean, I'm involved with many communities all around the world that have that thought, like we need to create places of community where we're sharing our gifts, we're sharing our art together, we're sharing our creativity, and we're praying together, we're meditating together. And I'm watching all these movements that maybe we thought of 20, 30 years ago. Suddenly, like the 20 and 30-year-olds are like, oh yes, let's be a part of it. Will you join us? So it's a way of bringing us together no matter what age we are, where we're from in the world, and just staying connected. And we don't see a lot of that in the media, of course, but that's why we're able to gather together as we are and say, we believe in each other, and we believe that in our freedom we can express so much greater the joy and happiness that's going to reflect in the world.
I love that.
Yes.
Well, I have a question for you, Marla. So right now you're at you're getting prepared for the wedding for Tiffany's going to be married here shortly, and there's nothing like we get to practice the principles you just talked about: prayer, meditation, connecting in oneness, opening our hearts to one another. Nothing like a family get together to practice that. So how do you practice that in your family when you're there with all kinds of different energies and people coming at you, and that type of thing?
It's really perfect to be able to sit with you two during this period in time, because I'm in the middle of it, right? And it's just I'm a big believer in the power of the breath. The breath is like that holiness that we bring within ourselves. The moment we shut it off, everything becomes more panicky, right? So if I can just always take the time to do some breathing exercises, just to remind me that, this is the breath of life coming in, and then to stop and listen, because we're not going to agree on everything. Yesterday we did the food tastings, right? And we made a whole plan of what we wanted to do. And then my ex-husband Donald comes in and goes, "Who likes a fancy salad like that? Nobody likes a fancy salad like that. People just want lettuce and tomato. Just chop up a lettuce and tomato." And we were like, "Okay, but we can put a little olive and maybe chickpeas in it too." So it's really funny allowing everyone to have their opinions and then come back around to that sense of unity. But I'm practicing big time right now. Whether it's making a salad or having steak and potatoes or a nice little vegetarian entree, we have to make room for everyone's pleasures, really, and make everyone feel important in the process. And the big thing for me is not feeling insecure. If people don't jump on Marla's way of thinking, what am I going to do? Am I going to just go in a corner because people don't agree with me? I have to really build myself back up and say, we're all important, right? So let's let this movement continue between us. But it's very real. It's the simplest things become the most painful sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're the great unifier. I mean, how perfect, Marla. We in the green room, as when we were talking before coming on here, you were sharing, this is what I like to do, to be a unifier, unity, bring people together. There's of course so much division, so much divisiveness, dysfunction out in the world. So I mean, isn't it beautiful? You are a face of unity, of being a unifier, and even now bringing in personal examples of, hey, these things are challenging. That's okay. We're kind of breathing through it, and everybody's good.
Yeah,
so
everyone's good.
That's how we get to this whole world that's living consciously, isn't it? We can't be pushing away and saying that's wrong, and I don't, just this polarizing stuff. Where we do that together doesn't take us anywhere.
No, it doesn't. And I look at it, even when it's we're having a very small, intimate wedding, and there's many people that would love to be here, and just looking at it, I told my daughter, I said, let's really pray about when you're in the space, who brings you joy, who brings you light. Let's bring those people together. And it doesn't mean we're not going to walk in the world and be faced with people that come against us, but you get that strength from having your tribe, right? Having your group and knowing that you have that love, and then walk out knowing, you know what, let my ego rest over here if someone doesn't agree with me, right? Our egos are tricky. We need them to have the confidence to stand up in the world and do what I feel like God put in our hearts. But we also have to know when to, create a balance where our way is, we're able to balance it with other people's needs and voices. And I think that's what the world really needs, is that balance of listening, hearing, feeling.
Yeah.
I feel like
in your album that you did a little while back, a couple of years ago, you had it's called the Prayer to Humanity. I'm wondering what your prayer to humanity is today as we start to really embrace the principles of oneness.
Interesting. When when I went to the studio and I just said to my composer, I said, I feel like there's something's meant to come through me just in the spoken word. And that's where the prayer to humanity came from. And how could we guess that years later it would be so important right now? You know, the words that were said then years ago being now so relevant. And you know, the prayer for humanity now is this the same. It's just, you know, I try to voice to people to take that time to go within, not without. You know, unfortunately, the media has hypnotized many people, and there's an addiction to it. And there's addiction to hearing the same voices say the same words over and over again. And anything we can do to just, you know, become a clear channel of our own personal light. We have all the power in the world right here if we know how to connect to that light and be a clear channel. So it's about really making yourself a direct, clear channel of the wisdom that's attainable through silence in your mind, through asking, and through using our voice with positive words, but also then allow yourself to allow people into that world. And now I believe more than anything, without having to preach, and I come from a family of preachers and farmers, and just showing up with your joy. Let people ask, where do you get your joy? You know, how do you use it? Where does it come from? Right. Yeah. And then, you know, and hopefully that joy will spread and have an impact with others that may be feeling a little down or confused, and maybe they want to get some of this, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. The highest invitation, you know, the sacred texts were made in the likeness and image of the divine, of God, which means we're offspring of the divine. And wow, in today's world, so the invitation is to let's walk in Mother, Father, Divine's energy of which we are a part, love's expression. You know, all of these things that you're talking about, where maybe we were, that's why we embodied to be here now at this when everybody's loving, to be loving. There's nothing challenging about that. We're all a great unifier then, but what about now? What about now when there's this polarizing, you know, darkness and dysfunction and all of these things and judgment that's thrown at you? You know, what about now? Can you now stand in that beautiful energy that you're talking about, Marla, breathing and just continuing to be love's expression, you know, even as this judgment is coming at you and things?
We have to do it. I don't think we have a choice, because I do believe we were born for this time. And obviously, and this is something we bought into, to be waymakers, light givers, and be able to, you know, create a tunnel of light where maybe people aren't able to see, but it is hard, you know, and mornings I wake up and I'm not feeling my best, and I just, you know, have to take that 10-15 minutes to pause and ask for the divine guidance. We're all a part of that. Nobody is different. We all have it. It's just who's listening, who's willing to still the mind. And, you know, I'll go into coffee shops sometime and people are like, oh my goodness, we have one person walking in the door that's so angry, another one walking in the door that's so happy, and one's threatening me and one's just loving me. And like, how do we do it? And you just have to hold space for whatever people are going through and not be reactive.
Yeah. Well, Marla, I have a question for you. You know, one of my best-selling books is called Ask and You Will Receive. What do you ask for right now?
Oh, well, peace in my heart, first of all. So, you know, because I feel, you know, the tensions. I'm an empath, so I can feel what's going on around me. So I really do, you know, each day and before I go to bed, I do ask that my heart might be at peace, my mind at peace, clarity for a purpose, truly to have clarity of purpose. I don't want to waste more time. I want to be in my divine, you know, mission, and know that I want to be able to hear when people like you say, come on, talk with me, let's be here together. I want to be able to know that God's going to open that path, and there'll be more paths like that to share. So yes, peace in my heart, peace in the world, peace for others. And I pray for the people that I love around me to have that peace, and to give me an ear to hear. Give me an ear to hear, and the courage to step forward with what I hear, right?
That's beautiful. Great. Yeah, and you do all of those things so well. So
thank you.
Connect with Marla on social media, friends. If you haven't, she shares beautiful things all the time. I mean, just a wonderful expression of conscious living, of oneness, of love, unity, consciousness, etc. So yeah, if Marla, assuming you like the idea, you'll have fun following Marla on social media.
Yes, let's follow each other. Let's stay connected there. And my website is a place that I'm trying to share as much wisdom as I learn and grow along the way on mind, body, and healing and supplementation and different healing techniques that can help you. And I share a lot of the naturopathic and conscious functional doctors that I work with, and it's just a way that I can have accumulated things that I believe and work with and can share in the community too.
Is that marlamaples.com or what?
That
what is
easy. It is marlamaples.com.
Okay. Okay. So do you have I know you've got a wedding to get to here.
We have flowers to look at. We get to pick the pretty flowers that my daughter walked
a final invitation to people all over the world that are part of this summit, Marla, a final invitation to viewers here.
What is my final
invitation to all of the viewers that are here with us?
I just first of all want to say thank you for being a part of this. Thank you for being with us today, because you and I and these gentlemen here, we're connected, even if we've never met. There's a connection that runs between all of us. So I just hope that you can open your heart. Let's say hello to me on Instagram, say hello on my website, and just stay connected through our thoughts and our consciousness, because our thoughts create our reality too. So remember that, and let's choose good ones, and let's just share more love.
Thank you so much, Marla. Yeah. This was amazing. Thank you for the interview.
My pleasure.
Marla, I want to thank Ken too. Thank you, Ken, for doing the live segments here of the Global Oneness Summit all the way through. And Marla, just Godspeed to you here. Keep being the great unifier. We're gonna do it. We've got each other. Thank you. Okay, you all. Love, peace, and blessings. Everybody have a great day. Bye for now. Well, that was a real stunning interview, wasn't it, Ken?
That was amazing. I really liked the consciousness that was brought to that interview. Steve, there were some really powerful questions that I think were answered from Marla. And I think it helps all of us to uplift our thinking when we get around someone that's conscious like that can help us all uplift.
Yeah, I was really impressed with how real she was. She was, I could even use the word vulnerable in the sense that she shares, as so many people are empaths, where that you're just really getting flooded with this energy. And she's not a normal empath walking around. As she mentioned, she'll walk into a coffee shop and people recognize her. She's very recognizable, and most people know her name all over the world. And then to share that, so that means in the morning, finding 10, 15 minutes to just really do the work and pull it together and breathe and all these things. It was just makes her, I think, so much more approachable and effective, where she lays that out for people. Because I think, most people that I know out in the world are finding plenty of challenges here today with all of the things going on. And she brings that home. And then, as you mentioned, she goes straight into, hey, our job is to be a unifier and to breathe and be the invitation to this, all of the glorious nature that we are. So really very inspiring, very beautiful.
Well, what impressed me so much is that she really wanted to be part of the Oneness Summit. And here she is, she's at Mar-a-Lago. She's getting prepared for her daughter's wedding. They've got all kinds of family there. There's a whole bunch going on. And she takes the time out to be with us and to record the Oneness Summit. That speaks highly of who she is and what her character is.
Yeah, no kidding. Because we didn't have that backdrop. You and I were kind of surprised she comes on camera. Well, first, let me back up. As you mentioned, she reached out to us here as we were coming up on the summit and said, through her team, and said she'd really love to be part of the Global Oneness Summit this year. And these 11th hour things are quite challenging for us. But in this case, we said, wow, let's do it. I didn't know what this was going to be. And then, as everybody could see, as you mentioned, she's coming in from Mar-a-Lago with her daughter's wedding in 2 weeks, with just right in the middle of picking meals and all of the things that you do as you're coming up on I think her only child, her daughter's wedding. So what a backdrop, that's going on, and that she's coming in from Mar-a-Lago, even coming in from there without your daughter getting married, seems like could have some challenge. And then you've got to, as she was mentioning, pick the salad, and that was one of 100 decisions I'm sure she's making there together with her ex.
Yeah.
Wow, so and she was very collected and very cool, and very, very, very focused on who she is and who she wants to be, even as she's challenged to do that in the midst of all of these things. So
yeah,
just incredibly uplifting and inspiring.
Well, we're talking about oneness, and we're talking about consciousness. We'll talk about uplifting the consciousness of humanity. And here we have a great example with Marla. She's in a place where, hey, there can be we've all been with family, right? We know that, family sometimes can be our greatest challenge. And yet, it's the time, like she said, oh, this is the perfect time to do the interview. I believe we all need to we need to remember, within us is that peace, is that calmness, is that joy, is that love as we lift ourselves up. And Marla's just a great example of that this morning. She's in the midst of chaos with a wedding, and yet she's cool, collected, and truly being herself, being natural. The other thing she did with us, Steve, is, she talked a little bit about, meditation and prayer and in some of the practical tools that she uses. But then, and we all use those tools that are, the ones that have been on this path for a while. But the tools themselves are not the end result. The end result is what she was doing today, being with family, being connected, and being in her power.
Yeah, absolutely. So, another sort of backdrop thing, as when we were talking with her in that green room just before we came out, and she said, I'm coming in, as you can see, from Mar-a-Lago, which I didn't see a sign or anything in the backdrop. So I didn't know that without her sharing that. Yeah. And I said, would it be okay, if we just share where you're coming in from? And her only concern was, gosh, that her mission and our mission is unity, to be the unifier, so not division, which is incredibly thoughtful, that she wants hey, let's make sure this is where we're going. And of course, that's what Humanity's Team, the Global Oneness Summit, Birthing a New World, that is its whole focus, that we could go into the fire, so to speak, as you mentioned, go into the fire here with her. You just, what a great addition to the Global Oneness Summit. The people that were in general coming in, the musicians, the artists, the philosophers, the spiritual leaders, etc. These were planned times. They're not in the fire, so to speak. And then here we have Marla coming in the fire and emphasizing these very same themes and saying, boy, now more than ever, unity, unifying people, being, she didn't use the word healer and alchemist, but, in a sense, that's what prayer and meditation, what she's talking about, that's what it does, is we become the healer, the alchemist. Yeah. So just, it's sort of like a Global Oneness Summit with a cherry on top, where we could go into the fire and with her, and have this kind of discussion. And then, as when we wrapped up, she said, hey, let's stay in touch. Would love to just see what we could maybe do together on this journey toward conscious living worldwide.
I love that. Well, I love that thoughtfulness piece where she asked about, should we tell people we're coming from Mar-a-Lago? And, I love it because, she's conscious and sensitive to it. And we decided, yeah, let's talk about it, because, one of the things we all have to do in this path is let go of those judgments, the critiquing, this is good, this is bad. It's that place where we do come from oneness, and we come from a place of accepting what is, right? I'm not talking about accepting the things that are, that are hurting others or creating suffering. I think we need to be oneness. We need to step up and say no. But she's in a place where she's sensitive to people may judge, they may criticize, but isn't that exactly what we need to let go of? And I think it is. So I think we've done our job today, Steve. It was a good interview.
Yeah, agreed. Well, and we had a little divine luck there that she would want to reach out, that she'd want to do this from what I'm calling in the fire. Yes, so really just icing on the cake to bring that in here during the Global Oneness Summit. And boy, hats off to her, because I'm not sure that we would ever know what that would be like with her ex making these decisions, coming into a Global Oneness Summit. Yeah. One thing, by the way, that as you talk about, judgment, which as an issue, reminds me of this thing that Wayne Dyer, would often say, when we judge, it says more about us than about the person that we're judging. And it's a hard one as we're human, and then there are things like the Ukraine war and things like the polarity going on, Supreme Court decisions, shooters. So our humanness, as we look at these things, a lot of times it's pretty challenging, emotionally. But this whole conversation in the Global Oneness Summit and Humanity's team with this Make Conscious Living Pervasive Worldwide by 2040 thing, at the end, we want to be human and go down into the emotion and feel it. Otherwise, we're just a new ager putting our head in the sand. We've got to allow ourselves that. But then, this conversation with her was about just keep going so that we can journey into, we can breathe, we can journey into non-judgment. We can journey into being the alchemist, the healer, the unifier, the unity, consciousness, oneness, which is, that's the whole thing here, that we've got there's a journey that has many dimensions to it. And we don't want to cut off any part of it.
No, we don't want to cut off any part of it. I know when I first woke up, the words that came to me were, you got to feel the pain to make the change. You got to feel it. You got to feel it in your body, those areas that you don't want to feel for a while. But then the good news is that you don't have to feel it forever. you get to feel it, you get to name it, you get to get it, and then you get to transcend it. And you can even replay it, go, wow, how could I do better next time, right? How could maybe I bring this energy that I've been thinking or putting in my life? How can I transcend that and make it better for everybody? That's really what happens in oneness. We don't have to stay in the pain, but we do have to feel the pain in the beginning. So yeah.
And that'll be our last word, huh?
So, I guess that's it. I think we're wrap. This is a wrap, Steve. Thanks.
This is a wrap. Thank you.
Thanks. Amazing.
Thanks for being a co-host there. Yeah, amazing. And hey, viewers, thank you for being part of the Global Oneness Summit. And there's a lot more coming. And then we've got an 18-year journey, right? We're together, all of us on this level playing field, make conscious living pervasive worldwide, and just really create this whole planet, co-create this way of living on the planet that's beautiful, and we're journeying into that right now.
And we hope all of you will join Humanity's team on this quest. So till we meet again.
We do. Okay. Love and peace and blessings, everybody. Thank you, Ken. Thanks, viewers.
Thank you, Steve.
All right, Ken. Well, congratulations on this recording, Ken. What do you have any additional thoughts on this program as we open up this second part of this program?
Well, watching it back, it just reminded me of quite a few things. We're talking about consciousness. We're talking about awakening ourselves and awakening the world by 2040, I think it is Steve's goal, and mine too, or sooner. And I think I was thinking as I was watching this, I have funny thoughts, but I was thinking about the pandemic, and I was thinking how quickly all the countries of the world got together and shut down their borders, required masks. Some of them required mandated vaccinations, but the point of this is that how quickly we can change when we have a purpose, when we have a divine driving purpose. And can you imagine if one day we turned on the news and Anderson Cooper's coming on and saying, it's amazing, this wave of consciousness of awakening is sweeping the world. We don't know what the next state is going to be, but look, we've got California where right now we have 3 million people that are saying that they're awake, and they're stepping into their divinity, their power, their passions. It's amazing. Oh, New York has just come online. Oh, New York has 10 million right now. Oh, look at here, we're in Brazil. Brazil's waking up. I can imagine. I can imagine this, and this will happen. And hopefully in our time, in all of our time. So that's what I was getting. And Marla's part of it. I mean, she's in the, she's connected to the, the powers that be in the government, and she's bringing consciousness there. So it is happening, and it's happening all over. So that's what I was thinking, Steve. I mean, Timothy.
Thank you, Ken. And I love to think, and I love what you're putting forth. I love to think, and I invite us all to think even further of, well, now the world is awake. Okay, now what? Now what are you called to do? And like, this is, I think that the sort of level that we can approach it, because, it wasn't too long ago where this was hypothetical, this sort of global awakening, or it was prophesied. Is this it? But it seems that this is happening, that this is really upon us. And of course, we're starting to see just the sprouts appear. But we're starting to recognize what these sprouts are. And so it's like, okay, now the world is awake. Just to invite you to consider. Yeah. Now what? Well, now what are you called to do?
Yeah. Now what? Well, the indigenous people of India, they had, their records go back tens of thousands of years. And what they share with us is that there's 10,000 years ascending in these cycles, these yugas, they call it, 10,000 years ascending into higher states of consciousness, and 12,000 years ascending, 12,000 years descending. And we just came out of, it's like 6 o'clock, right? So we were in, the darker ages, right? We can all appreciate that. I mean, we didn't even know about electricity until the mid 1800s, or energy. People couldn't contemplate what that ever even meant. Vibration, energy, none of that even happened. So, we're just a little over a century, and we're now coming back up on that, up into the higher ages right now. According to the indigenous people there. So, but I like that. I like that thought that we're going into higher ages, and it may be a rough ride for us. It has been for a lot of people, during this past couple of years. But what's happened is we've had time to reflect. We've had time to sit in stillness. Yogananda said, isolation or stillness is the price of greatness. It was Leonardo da Vinci that said, isolation is the price of greatness. Well, we've been isolated, and we've had to get a little still over the last 2.5 years or so. And what's happened is people have tuned in more to themselves. They've asked the deep questions. Who am I? What is my purpose in life? What is the purpose of life? And, from those deep questions, people are starting to awaken, and not so deep questions, but important questions. What does it take for me to be happy, to be content, to be peaceful? This morning I laid in bed, Timothy, and before I got out of bed, I noticed this deep sense of peace in my being. I thought, wow, I've worked a long time to get that deep sense of peace, to just be able to have peace and not have any worries, no concerns. And I woke up, and, I've been in that place ever since. I'm going through my life. I'm going through lots of stuff happening. We're doing this show together. We're doing but there's peace that underlies all of it. That's what I'm talking about.
Yes,
That's what
absolutely. The peace which is in your understanding.
Yeah,
And so,
yeah.
so you have for those stream mates with us, and even people who are just watching, Ken, you have a new program on Humanities Stream Plus. It's called The Courage to Change Everything, and I'm sure you go a bit deeper into all some of these things that you're sharing. Would you mind telling us about a bit about this program and what people can expect to learn about themselves through your teachings?
Sure. Well, I believe that we all need a little more courage. Would you agree with me on that? Right? Courage to maybe speak our truth, the courage to be able to step into our own power in a greater way, courage to be able to say no, courage to develop our willpower or our won't power, courage to just become that divine being that or reflect that divine presence that's in all of us. We need a little more courage. And courage has to do with it's an energy. It's not just a word, right? Words do matter. Actually, in today's world, they call it words are dope, right? What we speak can be powerful. But courage is a source of power that very few have developed to its maximum. So when you feel courage, though, think about it. If I just ask you a quick question, if you were courageous, what would you step into today, right? If I was courageous, just ask yourself this. If I was courageous, what are 3 steps I could take to, you fill in the blank, to awaken my inner genius, to become more calm and peaceful, to be able to generate more wealth in my business or my life, to be able to be of greater service? If I was courageous, you can ask that, because once you start to tune your mind in to the frequency of courage, right? What happens is you're going to start getting downloads, all right? Just as you tune your radio show to a different station, you tune your station to courage, and you're going to get these downloads of inspiration, of maybe some information you've been waiting for to take your life to a greater level. So courage is not just something we think about, it's something we be, and it's something we step into. And as I said, a lot of people have undeveloped courage, Timothy, but we can all develop it. It's innate within us. It's not something I got and you didn't get. We all have it in us, but it's about stepping into it in greater ways. So that's what I talk about. We go very deep in that. And it will, at the end of this, what are the benefits to you? Well, I'm not sure what the benefits would be for you, but I can say this. Most likely, you'll be able to step into your dreams that you have, those dreams that are still there, that you really want to generate in your life. And maybe with courage, you'll have what we probably call a quantum breakthrough, right? We think of quantum physics, so we think of quarks, right? We think of quarks being here and there at the same time, being connected to everything. You might have that quantum breakthrough as you step into courage and be able to not just take the next step toward your dreams or the next step, but you might be able to take the elevator up and be able to see things that you've never been able to see before and do things you've never been able to do before. Why is that? Well, because with courage, with intention, when you set that intention really powerfully, this is my intention, and you start to feel that intention inside of your being, you just start to feel it. And then you step into courage, right? And I said courage is a frequency. What seems to happen for a lot of us is that the circumstances that we need to manifest that dream, the people, the places, it is the law of attraction. It's the law of attraction on steroids when you step into courage. So everything starts to up level in your life in greater ways. Do I have time to tell a quick story, Timothy?
Please do.
Yeah. So back in the 80s, I was at a place in my life where I'm married now. I have a baby on the way, and I'm living in a little condo. And I'm thinking, wow, I need more space for my family. And at the time, I was working for a real estate company. And at this time in the history of the nation, interest rates for mortgages had broken 10%. They were on their way up to 21%. People were panicking. There was a lot of selling of real estate at the time. Prices had collapsed. They were going to 70, 80 cents on the dollar. And I wanted to get in the marketplace, but I had no money to do that. The job was paying me $1,000 a month $1,000 every time I bought a real estate property for them. And I was buying properties at 70, 80 cents on the dollar then. So I thought, what has to happen? How can I have a quantum breakthrough in this? And I thought, I know, this company only has been buying single family homes. I will go out and buy an apartment unit for them. And I ran it by the owners, and they're like, no, we can't buy apartment units. We focus on single family homes. And I thought, okay, well, could I explore it? I asked them. They said, sure, go explore it. So I found this apartment unit. It's called the Harmel Arms. It's down in Southeast San Diego. It's 95 units. I worked out the numbers. The numbers worked out really well for the company. And I came back and I pitched it. Okay, so that's the beginning of that story, right? What happened then is the life-changing event that changed me forever. I realized that they were only going to pay me for one transaction. Even though I was buying them 95 units, they were going to pay me for one transaction by $1,100. And I thought to myself, that can't happen. I have my purpose, that strong purpose. I have to get a home for my family. So I would go home every day and I put on the song Super Trooper by ABBA, right? And I would dance to that song and I would feel it in my heart. I am going to generate $30,000 commission. I'm getting $30,000 commission on this. I would just feel it. I did every single day. And I did that until this thing closed. And I walked into the office of the owners and they said, I said, what do you plan on paying me? Well, we're going to pay you for the transaction. I was so certain and had so much resonance in my heart. A lot of bottom line, I walked out with $30,000 check, right? So the principles of that have not changed, right? We have a noble goal. We have a noble purpose. We start to get passionate. We feel it in our bodies, right? We take action around it. And then we hold in consciousness. This is where everybody messes up. We stop holding that in consciousness. It goes into the wish mode or the hope mode or the, I believe this might happen. Instead of that resolve within us that this is happening no matter what. So I stepped into courage, and I, of course, got the check I needed. My family bought the beautiful 4-story home. At that time, it was like 2,200 square feet. It was exactly what we needed, right? That's what I talk about in this program, about you stepping more into you. And maybe you're not all about manifesting houses. That's not the point. It's about you in this path, in the conscious path. It's setting something greater than yourself. You know, I love noble goals where I win, the community wins, and the world wins, right? We all get to win, right? The clients get to win. A noble goal that's bigger than yourself. Because I personally have used great goals to evolve the consciousness, to evolve me, and to step into that God place where I don't have a clue how to manifest it, but I take steps towards that dream every single day. And if I've learned one thing in my life, the biggest mistake I ever made in my life was quitting on a company that was on the brink of breakthrough, right? Biggest mistake. Why was it a mistake? Because later I learned that our challenges are what strengthen us. Our challenges, if you're sitting in a challenge right now, it's there for a reason, right? It's there for you to step into that power that lies within all of us to step into it in a much greater way so that you can evolve into that being that you already are, but maybe you haven't realized it yet. It's called self-realization. So that's what I talk about in the program, Timothy.
Well, wow, Ken, it is beautiful. And let me just share, this is what the program looks like. It's called The Courage to Change Everything with Ken Foster. And there's 10 modules. It's very robust. So if I know I'd be interested in hearing a bit more about this, Ken. It's a wonderful story that you share. And I know it amps me up into being perhaps a bit more courageous in the things that I know want to unfold through me. So thank you for sharing this, Ken, with us.
Well, you're more than welcome. And as I said in the beginning, courage is it's something we all need. It's something we all need in greater ways. And when we live a courageous life, we live a fulfilled life. We live a life full of it's not necessarily an easy life, but it's a life that at the end of the day, you feel very fulfilled. You feel joy in your heart, and you wake up in the morning like I do with peace in your heart, not worrying about what the day is going to bring. You're excited about what the day is going to bring. It's a place where, I almost call it the courage bubble, right? You step into this bubble, and it's a place where miracles and magic and synchronicity start to show up in greater and greater ways. Not when I say greater ways, not in a place where it's going to overwhelm you. It's a place where you go into awe in greater and greater ways. You're like in awe. By the way, awe is a feeling. It's an energy inside of us, right? You're in awe. You ever been to the Grand Canyon and been in awe, or a beautiful sunset, or been in awe, or a newborn baby, you're in awe. You're in that awe state. So that's a place where we get to create our dreams, right? Over the years, for me, I've done a lot of work on myself because where I started was a pretty dark place, and I had some pretty dark people around me. And what happens is that when the ego takes over, as a lot of us know, when we go down and we spin down into those darker realms of consciousness, it gets difficult. Somebody once told me when I was down in that space, it's just as easy to live an amazing life as it is to live a terrible life. It's just as easy to step into your integrity and into your highest values as it is to live the lower values, right? And I thought, man, that makes a lot of sense. So I started putting effort every day into transforming this dark energy into the light and seeking the truth in all areas. That's why I do my show. I bring on guests at my show. It's called Voices of Courage. You can find it if you just Google Voices of Courage, or or Google my name, Ken D. Foster. That show, now we've done 300-400 shows now, and I say that because some of them are still in the bin. We haven't broadcast them out yet, but those shows, I bring in guests that have realized wisdom. What's realized wisdom as opposed to wisdom? Well, you can get wisdom from a book. That's good, but it's better if you have it realized in your own being, in your own cells. You've lived it. You've been into it. You've walked into that. And when a person has that type of wisdom, what happens is that their words become powerful. So have you ever listened to somebody and their words are like little toy gun bullets shooting at you? They don't penetrate. They just, like, you want to tune it off. But other people, their words come from wisdom, realized wisdom. They've been through the fires. They've been through the challenges. They've been through anything that's been blocking their success. And they've come out on the other side, whether it be in relationship or in their career, or in their business, or in their home life, or in their health. They've gone through the fires and they've come out on the other side. Those are the people that I personally like to learn from. Those are the people that can support you in changing your life with possibly just one word. Now, the word, why does a word change our life? Well, it resonates with something that's already inside of you. And you make a choice to go, I'm embracing this today. I'm going to use this. I'm going to bring this energy into my life. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to allow myself to be in a place. By the way, I wrote a book. It's called Ask and You Will Succeed. It was my first book. That had Jack Canfield wrote the foreword to my book. Was back, came out a few years back. And in that book, there's 35 different categories of life. And there's 1,001 ordinary questions, but they're designed to create extraordinary results for you. These questions, the questions help to focus your mind in the direction of your dreams, right? So if you tune in, as I mentioned earlier, and you ask powerful questions, what'll happen? You'll get powerful results. You'll step into that power within you. You'll step into your courage in much greater ways if you're asking the right questions. Ask the right questions or ask a dumb question, you'll get the dumb answer or the wrong answer for you, right? We all know that. You ever asked your wife or your husband a dumb question, right? I guarantee you they'll answer it back. You know, honey, do you love me today? Oh my goodness, don't ask my wife that. she'll give me the answer, but it won't be what I want. So, or ask a question like, well, what's wrong with me? Why can't I generate success? How come I'm too old? How come it didn't happen for me? You'll always get the answers to those questions. So don't ask them. Ask questions like this. If I was courageous, what are the 3 steps I'd take to generate success? If I were to have a quantum breakthrough in my life today, what would I have to know to have a quantum breakthrough in my life, right? If I'm estranged from someone, right? And you really know, you have it, feel in your heart, you want to connect with them again. You know, you ask a question, what would I have to release to be able to be in that person's life again? It's always an inside job, as Timothy will tell you. So that's a little bit about what we cover, you know, in this program, and a whole bunch more. And Timothy, I just want to say that I do have that's not in the program, but I have a new book out. It is called The Courage to Change Everything, Daily Strategies and Essential Wisdom to Awaken Your Inner Genius. And in there, I have the information from several of the masters in the world. You know, I've got Einstein in there. I've got everybody from Einstein to Tony Robbins to the Dalai Lama to Mother Teresa. You know, I have the information there. The discernment that I used to put that book together took me about 6 years to put it together, to make sure that I was putting the right information so that when somebody reads it, they start to feel and resonate with the energy that's in that book, and it starts to touch within them that power that is waiting to be released. So they can get it on my website, KendFoster.com. It's probably the best way to get the book. You can get the Kindle edition on Amazon, but it's daily, because I realized this, that it's daily strategies and essential wisdom, right? I realized this, and you probably have too. I don't need wisdom or courage or anything to inspire me. I don't need that every other day or every 3 days. I need it, quite frankly, several times a day, which is why I wrote that book, so that we can start to download continually in our mind that wisdom, and connect to that energy, that power that's within us, and remind us who we are, so we can have a better life, a more joyful life. So yeah, again, they can get that at Ken D as in Donald, Foster.com.
Beautiful, Ken. Well, thank you, everyone. Take note, KenDFoster.com to check out if you want to see more about Ken's book. Also, if you want to view his program on Humanity Stream Plus, just search for Ken Foster or look for the program called The Courage to Change Everything, and you can see this. And of course, you know, we have less than a minute left, so thank you all for joining us as we wrap up the Global Oneness Summit this year. I would just encourage us all to understand and step into the knowingness that oneness is eternal. And of course, we have Global Oneness Day just in honor of this fact. And we have the Global Oneness Summit. But this oneness continues with us forevermore. So thank you all for joining us. And Ken, thank you for being such a wonderful guest with us today. Appreciate your company here. And
Thank you so much.
We'll see you all next week. Steve will be our host, and stay tuned for who this next week's guest is.